Everything in nonprofits is about relationships. I hear that over and over and over again, whether it's the volunteers, the donors, the stakeholders you serve, your board, your team. It's all about people. It's all about relationships. It's probably my favorite part of working with nonprofits is how deeply they care about people. A CRM is a software that's designed to help you manage these relationships. And usually they do a really poor job of helping us become intentional and empathetic. Instead, they're trying to automate and streamline and be efficient. That's important, but that's not how people work. We want to care, we want to show intention and nurture these relationships. So we have to be intentional. The tools are not going to do this work for us, but here's a framework for how to build an intentional nurturing process for the people that you care about. So I'm going to go through a checklist here. There's 6 things you need to do. You need to name the journeys, define the calls to action, name the stages along the journey, set a time in stage for each stage along the journey, create a path to renewal, because not everything lasts forever, and assign a lead for each person. So let's go with, we're going to start with this fake nonprofit. This is all fake data. We're going to first name the journeys. So there's three journeys that people go on. They can become a volunteer, they can become a donor, and they can become a board member. We might have more than this for this nonprofit, but let's just start with 3 because that's quite a bit already. So right here, I've got a volunteers list, and there's 51 names on it. So I'm going to go back to our checklist. Done. We've named the journeys: volunteers, donors, and board members. Next, we need to define the calls to action. So how do you become a volunteer? How do you become a donor? How do you become a board member? So for a donor, it's pretty easy. Usually it's you give money. So they might use the donate button on your website, pay with Stripe. For volunteers, they might fill out an application form using something like Typeform. And then for board members, that's probably real one-to-one. So the executive director might just email them and then says, okay, now you're on the board. Here's your term, etc. Okay, so we have the calls to action. Since we're talking about volunteers mostly, we're going to say, here's the volunteer form. I'm using Typeform for that, and we're going to check that off. Then we need to name the stages along the journey. You could think of them also as maybe like milestones. We've got the volunteers. Here's the stages. And let me go ahead and show you the options here. Identified, engaged, invited, active, declined, dormant. So identified means there's someone we think could be a good volunteer. Engaged means either they've reached out or we've started a conversation or had coffee. Invited means we sent them the form. We said, hey, become a volunteer, fill out this form. That's the invitation, the call to action. Active means they said yes, and then maybe we approved them or something. We moved them to active. If we sent them the invitation and they never responded, they declined. And if at any point this one of these stages goes dormant, like we lose the thread, we move them to dormant. So those are the stages. That journey, identified, engaged, invited, active, declined, dormant, would probably work. It's a great default to start with. It probably works for donors, probably works for board members as well. Just if you're trying to keep things simple, I'd try and use those stages as the defaults for all your journeys. Done. We named the stages. Okay. The CRM needs to be a moving sidewalk. People are on the move, going somewhere. Think of an airport. We're trying to get to a destination, and so we're on the move. It's not the mausoleum of every relationship and every person we've ever interacted with. That is a horrible way to think of this. It's not a database. It's not a history. It's a real-time way to nurture relationships with people who are aligned with our purpose. So when we add people in, we have to have a plan for letting them drift away if things don't work out. Nothing lasts forever. They're going to be a donor for a period of time. They'll be a volunteer for a period of time, a board member for a period of time. When they leave us, they need to move to some sort of dormant. And that helps if we have a time in stage. So I'll show you how we'll do that. By the way, I'm using the tool Attio. It's a CRM. I really like it. It has a lot of automation features. AI features is one of my favorites. So we're going to go to Edit Attributes. And we're going to say time and stage, or they say time and status here. I said, we're going to give ourselves 90 days. After we met someone at a networking event that we thought would be a good volunteer and we add them to the CRM, we have 90 days to engage them. If we don't engage them in 90 days, we're going to automatically move them to dormant. We've got too much to do, too many balls we're juggling. We don't have time to keep making our to-do list longer. We might add a task for ourselves at day 84. When day 84 hits, create a task to follow up with Jill Villa because we think they'd be a great volunteer. Same thing, engaged. We have 90 days to get coffee with them, talk, as long as we need to feel them out, make sure they make sense for us, align with the purpose. But then we need to invite them. Like at that point, we need to invite them. If it's been a year and we're not engaging them, they're dormant. Like send the invitation. Invitation. They have 30 days to respond. If they don't respond in 30 days, maybe we follow up. If they're just ghosting us, they move to dormant. It's done. Active. This could be different for all different contexts. We're going to say this volunteer term is 1 year. They only commit to 1 year. That's part of our call to action when we explain it to them, and then they roll off. So after 12 months, we're going to say that's the time and stage, and then we'll get to that. That's when we do a renewal process, decline and dormant, don't need time and stages. So does that make sense? Here is what it would look like on a Kanban board. So you could see how long. So Richard Smith, we identified him 7 days ago. I just went to coffee with Richard this morning, so I'm going to move him to engaged. Fantastic. Now we just reset the clock. He moved to engaged. Today, we've got 90 days before we send him the invitation. Sarah, we invited her 2 days ago. She just filled out the form and we're good to go. We like Sarah. She's a volunteer now. That's how you could use those time and stage and move people along the way. Okay, let me get back to my checklist. Done. Create a path to renewal. So let's go back to our volunteer pipeline. Here's our table. What I'm doing here is there's the whole, all the potential volunteers are on one list, but we can filter it. So like here's just the active volunteers, which is kind of nifty, but here's all of them in any status. I'm going to take Wendy Ferguson and I'm going to do something nifty here. You see how these have term begins, term ends, and a lead? So I'm going to say Wendy is active. Oh, fun. Wendy's now here. Ooh. And we got this little notification up here. That's an automation in the background of Attio. And essentially what I just did was on the day Wendy was marked active, her term begins July 24th. Her term ends a year from now. And it is assigned a lead. I'm assigned a lead to everyone because I'm wearing all the hats, just like every nonprofit leader, but you could even assign it to someone else at different points. I think like this is a drop down, so you could assign it to any of these people. So I also have an automation. I'm not going to go into it today. There's just too much to cover, where essentially 1 year from now, it creates a task to say, hey, this volunteer is about to roll off. You can reach out to them and do one of two things. Thank them for their time and not invite them back, or thank them for their time and invite them to renew. And that's how we create this renewal process, is with a task 1 year from now. It says, hey, if you'd like to be a volunteer, we'd love you to re-up for the next year. And in what happens then, if you could think of it as, let's go to the volunteer pipeline, Andrew Mercer, their term has ended. We'll say we'll just change this to 2020. Just ended today. And then we're going to either move them to dormant, thank you for your service, or invite them to renew. And so now Andrew's status moves to invited, and now he has the chance to renew and maybe not. And if he doesn't, he'll move to dormant. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Path to renewal. Lastly, we have to assign a lead to each person. This is the most important part. It's very simple though. Someone needs to be in charge of nurturing this relationship with Andrew so that the balls don't get dropped. That's very simple, but put someone in charge. Okay, we've done everything on our checklist. One last thing. Lots of people are on multiple journeys at the same time. So what if Scott, Wendy, and Whitney would also be great board members? We'll add them to the board members list. Now, Scott, Wendy, and Whitney start out as identified by default. We could then move them through their own journey along this. And we could say, okay, now they're invited. Then when they're active, their turn begins. And this is the same thing, so that when you click on Scott's profile in the CRM, you can see he's an active volunteer and he's invited to become a board member. And now you start to see thus weaving together these relationships across multiple different journeys. And that's just how nonprofits work. Hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have questions.